Street Fighter 6. What more can be said that everybody isn't already saying it? I've been playing the game. I'm guessing you've probably played the game. Capcom has really stepped up and took back their Cap God status, as I'm proud that they have. Now, with that being said, I have been playing Street Fighter for a very long time, so I have my own facts and my feelings as to which Street Fighters are my favorite. And now, I want to share those all with you. The only major rule I'm going to have is that it's going to be one game per series. So all the Street Fighter 4s won't be on the list, all the Street Fighter 5s, all the Street Fighter Alphas, no. With the exception of one game that I'll get to when we get there. And that's enough intro, let's get to the video. Almost forgot, if you don't know, my name is Alex Lovehall, the Fighting Gamer. Alright, first on the list is Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. If you've been playing Street Fighter for a long time, you've probably competed or at least played this game. The characters are all strong and unbalanced in their own way, which means every character has a fighting chance. Especially compared to today's game, so like a Street Fighter 2 character, they might suck in Street Fighter 2 or might have a struggle against a certain matchup here or there, but if you took that same character and put them unchanged in like a Street Fighter 4 or a 5 or any other game, they're probably dominating free. The character's tools are very defining and they're very engaging. So for example, Ryu's Fireball is a very strong fireball. Shoryukens, very good Shoryukens. They have equally understandable pros and cons. That goes for most of the moves in the game. Addition Select, which I personally feel is underutilized, is something that the community should take more advantage of because you get access to damn near every version of the character in that game at once to pick from. The possibilities are almost endless, minus the whole we're just gonna pick the strongest versions of the characters, which that's boring though, I get it. It's probably one of the most pure forms of classic Street Fighter, damn near the purest. It has a long history of players, legacy, skill, all of that. If you want to play classic Street Fighter, you're going to go here. Now, me personally, I think that if you learn how to play Street Fighter 2 at a high level, that's going to hone and sharpen your skills, and that's going to carry over to every Street Fighter game after that. This is just more of a personal note. I really don't like the graphics. So like, if you look at Street Fighter 2 sprites compared to like Street Fighter Alpha or Third Strike, or really almost any other fighting game, I'm not a fan. I don't like seeing them. I know they're nostalgic for some. I think they're ugly for me. I was thankful HD Remix did the whole redraw. Since this is an older game, you are going to need a higher level of baseline skill to be able to compete. So a new player just starting in Super Turbo, you're probably going to be fighting a lot of older opponents, and those older opponents are going to just know more and be able to do more than you off the bat. So you're going to have to practice and play a little bit harder to get in the door. However, when you get in the door, it is an amazing feeling. Next up on the list is Street Fighter Alpha 2, and the Alpha series is near and dear to my heart. Oh my goodness. In my experience, fireballs are more useful in Alpha 2 than they are in Alpha 3, and fireballs are a very important part of Street Fighter. The mechanics on paper are a good blend between offense and defense, being the alpha counter, custom combos, multiple supers, air blocking. With that being said, they do lead to an imbalance between characters, meaning that some characters can use the mechanics like Ken and Sagat better than others like, I don't know, Ryu, Birdie, so on and so forth. Kind of piggybacking off that, the neutral game in Alpha 2 is rewarded very, very well if you A, know how to play it, and B, are able to execute on it very consistently. Now, for me, personally, I feel that Alpha 3 is way harder to understand and play and enjoy than Alpha 2 is. Mainly due to the way fireballs work, the way some damage is handled, and just Vism in general. I know Vism is in Alpha 2, however in Alpha 3 it's way worse. I usually like that stuff, I just have never learned how to do it, so I don't disrespect it, I just stick to Alpha 2. Street Fighter Alpha 2 is a better and more refined revision of the classic Street Fighter formula. I prefer this over Super Turbo 10 out of 10 times. I do happen to prefer the music and the stages of Alpha 2. Some highlights are Charlie's theme, Rose's theme, Ken's theme, Sakura's theme especially, and then you got Sagat's Field of Fate stage, which is where you got the grass and they got the black sky and the lightning. Just like in Street Fighter 2, maybe even a little bit more so, there is a strong divide between a good Alpha 2 player and a bad Alpha 2 player. And trust me, when you start playing, you will feel and see the difference almost immediately. And that's okay, because when you start playing the game and understanding the tools and learning the resources, it's actually a little bit easier to get into and play than Street Fighter 2 Turbo, in my opinion. Next up on the list is Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. And before Street Fighter 6, this was the game that was my all-time favorite, no questions asked. Street Fighter 6 is making that very hard to say that. Third Strike is the most competitively difficult game, and that's due to its execution, the knowledge checks, the matchups, the mental stacks, the parries, everything. Speaking of the parry is the best defensive mechanic in all of the Street Fighters. It provides a deeper level of interactions between you and your opponent at every point of the match. It influences every single interaction, whether you are a low level, mid level, high level, or pro player. It all matters. Parry is everywhere, and it matters. The rhythm, the flow, and the gameplay loop of Third Strike is the most refined that Street Fighter has been up until this point, and arguably ever since. The system mechanics offer an almost perfect blend of offense and defense at every point, and that means the supers, the parries, the universal overheads, the taunts, everything. For me personally though, fireballs are not that useful and they're not very fun to use. The parry is a hard knowledge check. As I said earlier, it can influence and change every matchup for better or for worse, and depending on how you are as a player, that can make or break your experience. For as good as this game is, there is some clear balancing issues, so characters like Ken and Chun-Li and Yoon and Makoto, even though they are fun and they are very, 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 very good, there are other characters who maybe not so good, but they can play, like Ryu and Akuma. And I almost forgot about Yurin, but he's really good. So a lot of characters have clear advantages, while there are certain characters who have so many disadvantages, you don't even want to play them, unless you're into playing those sorts of characters who are just bad. I will say, with that said, characters like Ryu and Akuma, even Sean, 12, if you know how to play them and understand their pocket and their full potential, you can bring them out and make them look like a top tier, if you're that good. Taking a bit of a side turn, we're going to go to Pocket Fighter. To be honest, this is not a game I truly play a whole lot, though I have played it a little bit. It's basically mini Street Fighter, so it's coming on the list. With that being said, it's pretty simple to pick up and play. I do like this version of the gem system compared to another game's gem systems we're going to get into later. And the roster is this more celebratory. It has more than just Street Fighter characters. It feels like it's just an overall Capcom party and everybody's invited. Like I said earlier, I don't really like the simple pick up and play aspect. I think it's very neutered and a lot of the game is not very fun. It's very stiff. The combos feel very auto combo heavy. There's not a whole lot. It's not a game I would go back to for the gameplay at any point. However, I do actually like the chibi sprites, and I will find a way to make those work in a different program. Everybody's favorite fuck up, Street Fighter Cross Tekken. Before I get started, I gotta say, this game deserves a second chance. The Tekken characters were more mechanically diverse and fun to play than the Street Fighter characters. So like Kazuya felt more fun to play, Jin was ridiculously good, Hwoarang felt fun, all those characters. This game takes the Street Fighter 4 combo engine and just makes it more open-ended, juggle-heavy, and creative, which honestly just leads to a lot of stuff that I wish I could do in just normal Street Fighter 4. This is just something that I noticed and something I like, but the neutral in this game is crazy because each poke that's successful can lead to crazy damage and setups and situations if you're good enough to maximize on it, and I like those kind of games. Now, obviously, I prefer something like Marvel vs. Capcom, Dragon Ball FighterZ, etc., when it comes to my tag fighters. However, those games don't play like Street Fighter. And if you're gonna play a game in the Street Fighter style, I think that Cross Tekken handled its tag mechanics pretty well. Again, obviously, Pandora and Gems killed the experience. I don't like it. I think it was stupid. I think those two things plus some bad PR really hurt the game's chances to succeed. And yeah, I wish this game would get a remake without Pandora and Gems, because I feel like that would definitely boost the game to a level that people would actually just want to play it for fun. Speaking of that, if you try to play the game online right now, you can't, because it's games for Windows Live on PC, which doesn't exist anymore, so you gotta mod the game. Furthermore, they took the game off of Steam to try to fix that. So if you didn't buy it, you're not going to be able to play it at all, which sucks. And even though I said I do like a game with this kind of neutral that leads to crazy damage in situations, the balance is not that good, and if you're a bad character in this kind of game, that is an uphill battle you probably don't want to fight. You just don't. Here is the latest version of probably a lot of you guys' and girls' first Street Fighter, which is Ultra Street Fighter 4. Edition Select made a return in this game, and honestly, it should stay in every Street Fighter. I don't know why they take it out. I know exactly why they take it out, but even still, keep it in, it's fun. Street Fighter 4's combo system, it rewards knowledge, execution, understanding the frame data, and practice mode. Similar to what I said in Third Strike, and if I'm being honest, it kind of counts for every Street Fighter and fighting game as a whole. However, each character does have a hidden potential, which, if you do know how to use them and other people don't, or you spend the time and unlock it, you can make that character look way better than anybody ever gave it credit to. Shouts out to Infiltration when he picked Hakan. I was just praising the combo system, though when you play it again, it's very tight, it's very stiff, and it rewards knowing what you're doing. It's not a game you can just kind of jump back into and get your feet wet. You're gonna have to go to the pool and learn how to swim to really understand how deep and how freeing that combo system is. Street Fighter 4, fun time. I had a blast. I was one of the 09ers, but I played Street Fighter before that, so I'm not gonna sit here and say the game sucked. However, Ultra Street Fighter 4, for what this version actually added to the game compared to the other ones, it didn't capture me. And I know I keep saying I like Edition Select, but the community doesn't and they never use it, so I didn't even really get a chance to play it. And even with that said, I don't really go back to play this game that much anymore because, like I said, it takes a long time to get back into it. The online isn't the best, and it's just, I kind of stopped playing it after a while, and then the next game in the list, I kind of played that a little bit more, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Now, we're on to everybody's least favorite fuck up, Street Fighter V. Specifically, Champion Edition is what I'm talking about now. Champion Edition is, beyond a doubt, the best version of Street Fighter V with all the characters, mechanics, rebalance, attention to detail. Love that Capcom has shown it. This is also probably the second easiest Street Fighter to get into because at the time, they were trying to make this game more streamlined with its combos and its defense, which it is, don't get me wrong. But because of that, the characters do feel a lot more restricted and closed off and tight compared to their earlier versions, or in some cases, their future versions in the next game. Maybe it's just me, but when I tell people I'm playing Street Fighter V or I'm actively trying to play Street Fighter V, I don't feel good. I feel kind of dirty. Just given its long history and all the shit that's wrong with it, it's like I could be playing something way better. Like I said earlier, since this game is so streamlined and easy to get into, it is way easier to get to the highest level of character and highest level of play. And when you do, the game does get very boring and very just samey, do the same shit over and over again and win. Or lose. And of course, with Street Fighter 6 out, it makes this game almost useless and just shows you the history and where the series went, rather than actually wanting to go back and play it, especially right now. I'll say give it a year or two. Side note, if Street Fighter V Champion Edition was the game that they came out with first and then they kept going, we'd be in a much different situation. But we're not. The golden child of Street Fighter right now, and honestly might be my new favorite, Street Fighter 6. Each character is designed to be fun, competitively viable, unique, diverse. Oh, this game, every character is worthwhile to play, and I have not said that about a Street Fighter ever. Just like Alpha 2 and Street Fighter 3, even better, I think this game's drive system is a perfect blend of offense and defense with its drive impact, with its drive reversal, drive parry, drive rush. There is an option for everything. There's a response you can do for everything. It leads to so much freedom, open-endedness, creativity, execution, knowledge. It's just so good. And it also has a core foundation of just solid fighting game design. The single player and the offline modes, which for me is usually World Tour and Extreme Battle and everything else, are very varied, expansive, and engaging. And you don't really say that about Street Fighter's offline modes that much. The Battle Hub is one of, if not the best iteration of an interactive lobby in fighting games history. Just being able to create your avatar, walk around, go to an arcade, be in the environment of the arcade, have multiple floors, have the game center over there, have the customizable shop over there. It's honestly perfect. I'm going to say this now, I don't prefer the art style, the more realistic version of Street Fighter. That's not my thing. However, the graphics do showcase a solid foundation of the style they're going for and the RE engine. So even though I don't like it, I cannot say it's ugly or it's bad. This is probably the only place I'm going to be able to say it, but if you look at Outfit 2 for Ryu and Ken, you'll notice that their Shoto gloves are different, and it bothers me so much because if you look at their default outfits, their gloves are also the same as they used to be. And if you look at DJ's, his gloves is very similar, and that's a completely different topic. Pet peeve of mine, please change the gloves, Capcom. The UI, art design, presentation, music, it all blends together to give Street Fighter 6 an identity with hip-hop that it really hasn't had since, well, Street Fighter 3. Yeah, this is honestly the best Street Fighter they've made in a long time. Damn near ever. The best Street Fighter they've ever made. They did so well. Like, just please go play the game if you haven't already, and if you do, keep playing it. So much love, attention, and detail went into this game. It's just honestly insane. And if I'm being honest, for my favorite Street Fighter of all time, it's a tie between Street Fighter 6 and Street Fighter 3. And if I really had to choose one, damn, don't make me choose right now. I can't. I'd probably say Street Fighter 6 right now, though. Alright, with that being said, we've made it through all my favorite Street Fighters. Again, this is Alex Lovehall, the Fighting Gamer. Tell me down below, what is your favorite Street Fighter? I know I didn't cover every single game, but I just kind of wanted to give one representation for the major franchises, or I should say the major series is. And if you like this kind of content more, let me know and I'll start doing this for other fighting games like Tekken, Marvel vs. Capcom, Soul Calibur, here and there, yada yada yada. Also, stay tuned because I have more Street Fighter 6 content on the way. I did not forget, I've recorded so many matches, as well as I have other content lined up that I'm just cannot wait to share with y'all, and I plan on growing, and it's going to be a good time. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the vibe, and I'll catch y'all on the next ride.